Hey guys, this will be another weekly video update, okay, sponsored by Delta Exchange. So, if you want to support this and have these videos coming each week, you should sign up using my referral link, okay? So let's get straight into this. So we're going to discuss Bitcoin and a few altcoins today. But first off, I want again to start with discussing some basic educational stuff. All right, so usually we have a cycle. Okay, so a cycle or a price structure is relative on the time frame, right? So a cycle, right, a 5-minute cycle is basically the same as a daily cycle or a weekly cycle. Okay, so within that particular structure, we are looking at the similarities and levels, okay, to engage with price. Now, let's start off with a cycle, right? So usually, right, you have a beginning, right? So where price comes up and goes sideways, okay, creates some kind of consolidation, right? From that particular consolidation, price always expands, right, and creates tiny pauses within the move, all right? And at some point, we create a top, right, which is often referred to as distribution, okay? And from that distribution, we get a break in market structure, and then price sells off back towards levels, okay? As a completed big cycle, right, price comes all the way back often to where it started from, okay? So when we have that understanding established, right, we have to also understand where liquidity and where price is often stalling, right? So price often stalls at consolidations, okay? And the weakness in price is where the gap is, right? So if you have a very aggressive move, okay, this all here turns basically in to a gap, okay? And price often then gives that back and retraces back to previous consolidations. So consolidations, okay, are often what we can refer to as support. So if we take a look now, basically at the 3 daily chart on Bitcoin, you can see how here we have expanded basically away from this level around 10K, okay, and we run thin, created weakness, right? So we have a weakness within this structure, and we had a weakness within these levels. We have retraced back, right? So the level we found support around 30K was first of all it was a big figure, 30, okay, which is important, 30 big figure, and it's the bottom of this previous consolidation. Also, we closed in this gap, right? So you can see on both sides that this gap was an inefficient move, okay, and also here we had an inefficient move. We created a consolidation, okay, a structure. We created here a consolidation, a structure, all right? And then we expanded away. So after creating this particular consolidation, price expanded, all right? Created a high and price retraced, okay? And then we retraced back to the previous consolidation. You can see these wicks here is also a consolidation, price paused, all right? Then we expanded thin, okay, very aggressive away from that particular consolidation, okay? We made a high, okay, and price couldn't sustain the move. We sold off, and we sold off basically back towards this SR at 60K, okay? So 60K is also a big figure. We also have these weekly highs as support. So what is going on now? So below, now we can zoom in as we are understanding of what we are seeing basically at this chart. So if you go to 12-hour chart and just, or basically even an 8-hour chart, and just pricing in this recent move from this low basically to this particular high, you can see that we have a weakness within this level, we have a weakness within that level, okay, and then we have this particular consolidation, and these are the lows. So price here, you can see how price selling off, okay, so we have these candles, long candles, aggressive, okay, inefficient moves, and now we're creating on an 8-hour chart smaller body candles with wicks, all right? And you can see how price responding to that level. So what do we have below this level? Okay, so below this level, you can see we have a weakness. So there is not a lot of liquidity. So if price would then to go below this level, right, I would expect a more violent move, or not violent, but an inefficient move similar to this, okay, to extend lower. Okay, and then we have this consolidation, and you can see we have a high volume node, some weakness below. So that will mean that a move from 55 all the way to 50K would then be reasonable target. Okay, and we also have this particular SR. You can smack on some fib levels just for confluence from this particular low to this low. You see how we went basically to the 38, and then we got the 50 and the golden target below. All right, so as we have established that understanding of Bitcoin, that we should now hold support here and build momentum to drive price lower. If that fails, we are looking for lower levels. Okay, so either one of those. So now we establish understanding of what Bitcoin is about to do. So either we are basically at support. If we lose support, we might drop further. Now let's go here and just quick look here at oil. I just want to quickly just show you some correlation there. You can see how oil also has been selling off here, could potentially move to the 75 mark. Okay, so if it doesn't, you will see price reversing at these levels to push higher. If this presents, it will be a really good trading opportunity. You can see also how gold is trying to extend. We find resistance below this resistance. Okay, so let's take a look at some altcoins now to look for confluence as far as if Bitcoin has reached a potential bottom at this point. All right. So let's start off with Ethereum. We're gonna work into these ecosystems to begin with. Okay. So let's go to daily chart here on Ethereum. So we talked about this as well in the previous video, that if our current level doesn't hold, we will most likely extend to this SR. Okay, so we have another consolidation right there, which is significant, and we have this a very clean SR. Okay, very clean SR. So if you look at this price move, you can see how it extends. Okay, and at some point you will see profit taking, liquidity will be resting. Okay, and price is responding. Now it doesn't mean that the low have to be in, but you are looking at these levels as potential structural bottoms. Right, so it's the 38.2. Okay, so we have this given level. Now below this level, right, we have this as the next SR. So for me, how I look at this then is that we have confluence, okay, with Bitcoin and Ethereum potentially sitting at first support. If that gives in, okay, we will be looking at 3.5 basically next, and closing in some of the more weakness below. All right, so the lower we go within this structure, from this high to this low, the lower we move, the higher chance it is for a potential price response, right? So the lower we go, the higher probability it is to enter a trade. So there will always be much more risk entering trades when we have significant up moves, right? So that risk has always need to be taken into consideration and have more tight and more strict stop losses when you're trading very high into a given trend, right? So when price is selling off significantly, right? So if price sold off basically, let's say back down towards 3K mark, entering within these levels will have a much higher probability of seeing a response in price, right? Which meaning that you don't have to be as strict with your risk management, as the probability of seeing a response in price is much greater. Okay, it's important. So let's go further and look at some confluence on other altcoins as well, right? So we're looking here at Cardano. So we have tried now, this is the same chart, right? So basically we have this drive, another one. So you see here that for me, how I see it is that we're trying here to form a bottom, right? So as I said, anything given from the golden zone all the way towards 1.4 is a major buying opportunity. Okay, I'm already positioned in the three ladders here, probably average around 1.9, I would guess, and looking here for expansion. Okay, so we will see how we can build up some liquidity here. And for me, how I see it is that these levels now are giving divergence. So basically, we should see, some divergence. Yeah, you can see here on a daily chart that we're seeing. If we close like this today, we will have the first basically higher low on the other side. So when you see after a sell-off, okay, when price fails to drive lower, that is basically what is causing divergence, okay, on the other side. So let's go further. You can see AVAX, just a beast, right? Sold off in towards the bottom of this previous consolidation. So I always say that at the bottom of the wicks, where price is weak, that is most likely where you're going to see a response in price. All right. So very strong AVAX, extremely strong. Algo, I got stopped on this, had an entry around these levels, okay, and moved stop to break even as we expanded, didn't take profit, came all the way back down, stopped me out. But regardless, now that we're seeing, as I mentioned before, the weakness is always within these structures, okay, so we closing that in. We will see how this structure unfolds. Now the high probability trades, right, will be within these levels where you have the bulk of liquidity. Now the question is always, will we get there? Okay, so we just have to see how price resolves. Now if Bitcoin and Ethereum sells off to the lower levels, right, we will also probably see Algo selling off, getting some more inefficient, okay, and then starting to build some momentum, okay, to drive price higher again. So Solana, this is also a trade which I'm holding spot Solana, but I entered a leverage trade, got stopped in break even. I entered within these levels, held at this given the price point, came back down, stopped me in about the break even, okay, and now responding again. So just want to mention a few levels here of interest of Solana. So as we mentioned, right, so we have to always look at where is the weakness, where is the consolidation, okay, that is basically your job. So where is the weakness? The weakness is within these candles, right? You can see how inefficient these are, okay, so from this beginning all the way here you can see it's weak, okay, and where is the consolidation? This is your consolidation. So price moving into these levels, right? So the first price of response would be where the price initiated the move away from. You can see how we're responding. Now the high probability trades would be within this structure. Okay, so let me put on a trend line just to show the example here. So the high probability trade, right, would be a move back down, all the way back down to 180. All right, and we also have a big figure at 200, which will be significant. So if Bitcoin and as we mentioned, Bitcoin and Ethereum does make an extended move lower, you will also see this one, right? So then you can see price most likely trying to extend lower, and that is when you would like to see price finding some support and starting building something similar, right? So you want to see consolidations, because the consolidations is what builds momentum. Okay, so when you have consolidations building momentum, you can assume that you will have an aggressive move. If price doesn't create any kind of consolidations, okay, price will then be weak. Okay, important to understand this concept. Okay, and the same goes for the upside. So if you're making a larger consolidation at the highs and then price extends, you should also assume that price will run thin because it has created momentum. All right, so let's go further. Take a look at Cosmos as well. Okay, we got some decent levels here. And have an entry around these levels. Okay, and I'm looking to add. Okay, so the high probability trade yet again will be within this level, right? So you have this consolidation, very clean SR. You have the bulk of liquidity resting here, and you have this high volume node, right? So the issue with Atom is that you have this massive consolidation. So if price would to dip in towards below 26, basically all the way to 20, okay, so from 25 to 20, that is a level that will consist of a lot of liquidity, and price will find support. Okay, I think it would be high probability of price finding support. So so there will always be questions that if you want to enter before getting to your initial levels, you would like to see price showing some consolidation. You're seeing price building momentum, okay, and then you can assume that, okay, so most likely we are within a consolidation that will drive price to go higher. Now if we get that right, that means that you can have an entry and you can have a relative stop below, okay, and then you can target higher prices, okay, probably gonna move towards the highs. Okay, so that is how you look at price. Let's go further. Binance here, we posted this fractal yesterday. Okay, and we continue to selling off. Now, if I take everything off, just to point out here, you can see how as price moving towards a high, okay, this is the level of liquidity, price is responding, okay, and then we're seeing a sell-off. Now, you can see how small this top was, okay, similar to this. Now you're having the first initial drive. So we will see, if you get some sort of sideways price action and then you get another dump, okay, and you can see that we might get something similar. So if you get something similar, a move towards the big figure at 500 will also be a very clean SR, okay, and that would be an extremely good buying opportunity in my opinion, and that is where I would be willing to buy. Now it doesn't mean that price doesn't go up from here, okay, because remember that where's the weakness? The weakness is within this last up move. Can you see how aggressive these candles are? And where are the consolidations, right? So there's your consolidation. Keep in mind it's a daily chart, right? And that is where price is responding. You're having the consolidation, close to weakness, price is responding. Now the high probability trade will still remain lower as we're going into the previous or larger part of consolidation and the SR, okay? So then that means that you have a SR, confluence, plus big figure, okay? I'm writing on. So big figure confluence, okay, and then you got the consolidation confluence, okay. So you have a consolidations in three aspects. If you put on a fib retracement tool from the bottom, fib retracement tool from the bottom here. Let's see if you can see something else, right? So then as well that would be around the 50%, okay. So then you also have a fib confluence within your target, okay. So you got a 4 component confluence, okay, which will set up a higher probability trade if it presents itself. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but you know that you are willing, okay, to look for buying opportunities if it does happen. Now this is the fractal I have, or how I would assume price action, okay, on dot. So you have weakness. You have, where's the weakness? This is your weakness. This is your weakness. Where's your consolidations? Right there is your consolidation. This is your SR, okay? So let's go to 12-hour chart, or sorry, daily maybe is even better, okay? So just look at the previous structure here. So what can we assume, right? So what we want to see initially is that we're closing the weakness from this last gap. This is the consolidation, okay? And this is the previous consolidation with SR. So we are assuming that we could here find a bottom, okay, and building up liquidity to continue the trend higher. If this doesn't hold, right, where will price most likely reach for? Then price will starting to reach for the lower levels, closing in this gap, right, in towards this consolidation and back towards, or trying to extend towards 30. And how deep it will go until that level, is a question about the market conditions, okay? You can't always guess that, but you will assume that you have decent levels within that structure, okay? So I got a decent bag of dot and I'm bullish on it. So currently only spot position. My first entry was around 25 for this particular move. So as it drops lower, I will compound the trade and look for high prices, okay? So let's take a look at flame as well, okay? So flame, let's go to 8-hour chart. So basically here, if we can assume the same concept here, what are we looking for? We're looking for weakness, okay, and then consolidations, okay. So weakness, where is the weakness? The weakness we didn't close is the last move below there, okay. So here it's a lack of liquidity basically, okay. And where's your consolidations? Your consolidations are, give me a second here, is these given levels, okay. So we're sitting at support, all right. So we want initially this to hold, or else price will extend and basically slip through this because there will be lack of bid sitting there, okay. And the people that got in these positions right there will be forced to exit most likely, okay. And then you will see price extend lower to find available orders basically, right. And then you will see price dips into these levels and then see some kind of whatever it does before building the next move, right? So I want this to hold, all right? So I really want this to hold and hopefully build a level here of consolidation for price to expand. Now then this whole level here then will just be a larger sideways consolidation, okay, to drive and make a stronger move basically to the upside. Right, and the same goes for the downside. Keep in mind, guys. So when we're building up levels, right, consolidations, if they break to the downside, they will have a lot of momentum, and the same goes for the upside. The trick is to have a risk, manage your trades. Okay, so if you're wrong on the idea, you take a small loss instead of a large loss, right? And then as price extends, you want to take profits. So which other ones can we take a look at, which can be interesting? GRT as well, sold off, right? So price extends lower in towards this clean SR, this consolidation. And what we are looking for price here to create a larger consolidation, to find momentum to drive price higher. Okay, so the larger we get this consolidation, okay, the more efficient price becomes and the more power we will have behind the move when it first starting to move. Okay, so here as well, Shiba, I thought that we might get a slip in towards these levels where I'm willing to bid. Okay, but regardless, now you can see how we're creating this large consolidation, right? So if this is starting to break, right, and we extend higher, you will see price reaching back towards the highs. And if this large consolidation is starting to slip, okay, you will also see a relative move to the downside, gapping lower into this weakness, okay, and then you have this bulk of liquidity resting within these levels. Okay, so that is the scenarios I'm watching for SHIB. What else we can take a quick look at Matic as well. You can see here, this is your weakness, your consolidation. You can see how price extends in towards these levels, right? Extends in towards those levels, responding. Okay, so now initially we want to see price continuing basically to move higher. What else? SRM and FTX have some decent charts now. You can see how we created this consolidation as we discussed, right? And now price extended. So I had the trade, and initially what I want now is to close this gap, right? So we have this weak move. As price extends a bit further here, we will starting to have higher and higher probability trades setting up. So to watch these levels, there will be high probability trade, right? So this is the consolidation the price initiated away from, right? So if you get in towards the 5 mark, right? So even now, you know, it's not a bad place to start laddering in a position, but a high probability trade will be around the $5 mark, okay? That will be an absolute beast of a trade if you get that. Let's see what else we can take a look at. FTX, fairly similar price action here. You can see once again we extends. So this consolidation is holding up the whole price now. So same concept basically as SRM. If that sells off, okay, we have here is the previous consolidation, some weakness there. Okay, so around 40 to 35, okay, will be an absolute beast of a trade. But it seems that we might be forming here a potential bottom. Okay, so we will see how this price unfolds. Okay, so I think this is about it. Thomas, well, we mentioned about this in the previous video as well. So you can see how we created a larger level there of liquidity. Okay, and relative, you can see how price runs thin. Okay, and this is the gap. So you see when price extends away from this consolidation and there is a gap, price extends in search of liquidity, okay, and you see this particular fractal. So if you go into a daily chart, you will see the exact same concept appearing on all of these time frame, okay, consolidation, expansion, move back, consolidation, expansion, move back, consolidation, okay, and now we're getting expansion, and you would obviously assume price coming back down again, and that would be a decent trade. So whereas the liquidity will be at some point as we extend, we will come back. That would be the next good entry, right? So fractal nature basically of price. Okay, so quick look at Floki. As I mentioned, I posted this as well on Twitter. So basically, you want to see aggressive sell-off, creating a consolidation. Now this, you can see how liquidity is within these weeks, because each time it extends into this level, you see price getting bought back up, right? So if price then establish a trend within these levels, then most likely we could be forming a bottom here within these weeks on Floki. If you take everything away, you can see how, you know, this here is basically what we can assume where liquidity is, right? So if that would fail, okay, then you will have basically a gap slip to close in this particular void, okay, until price gets bought back up around these levels. Okay, so that is how we are seeing price at the moment. Hope you got something from this video. Peace out.